Selling a property as a landlord is a lot more isolating than people really expect. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Most people don't certainly talk about it publicly. And you don't really know how many others are quietly thinking about doing the same thing. We had a landlord, Jackie Prescott, at our last evening exchange, and what she shared was probably one of the most honest reflections of what that process actually feels like.
Selling to another landlord, especially when I got to know them, was really helpful because we use the same language. We've got the same goals and objectives.
That's a really important point, and I think what sits underneath that is how different the dynamic actually is. She wasn't selling into the open market. She was dealing directly with another landlord, and that changes things quite significantly. You're speaking the same language, you understand the same pressures, and crucially, that removes a lot of friction you'd normally get. That's exactly how we structure things at Landlord Property Exchange. It's landlord to landlord property sales. And I think this is where most landlords are right now. They're thinking about selling, but they don't know how many others are doing the same thing. And I suppose that's where the hesitation comes from. Because if you go straight to the open market, you're immediately exposing that uncertainty. Now that's a very real concern. And I think most landlords recognize that, because once you're in the open market, you're competing in a way you can't truly control. Timing becomes critical, and crucially, if things don't line up, you can lose the buyer altogether. That's the difference. And I think this is a point that often gets missed. Not being exposed to the whole market, being able to move privately and negotiate on your terms. That's not a small detail. That's what actually gives you control in the sales process. And that's exactly what we focus on at Landlord Property Exchange. Placing properties in front of the right buyers without creating unnecessary noise during that process. And I think that tells you something. This isn't just one person's experience. There's a lot of landlords in this position right now. They're truly thinking about exiting. They're truly thinking about selling. They're just not sure how to approach it. And what Jackie experienced is what we're seeing more and more of landlords wanting: privacy, control, and a buyer who actually understands what they're investing in. So it's not really about should I sell or not, it's about how do I do this properly? And crucially, how do I avoid losing control of the process? If you're in that position, or even just starting to think about it, it's worth understanding how these deals actually come together. Because once you do, your approach will be very different.